Trailblazing musician, songwriter, record producer, and activist James Mtume has passed away at the age of 76. We'll take a look at his monumental impact on jazz, soul, funk, R&B, and beyond. We'll also highlight his passion for Pan-African unity and liberation, all with the help of family, friends, and cultural scholars who will join us to remember the creative giant. And former Deputy Legal Director of the ACLU, Jeffrey Robinson, is stopping by to discuss his new documentary, Who We Are, a chronicle of racism in America, where he analyzes white supremacy and racial inequities head on. Black News Tonight starts now. Good evening and thank you for joining me on Black News Tonight. I'm Marc Lamont Hill. Tonight we start with the latest on the deadly apartment fire in New York City, with most of the victims belonging to a Muslim immigrant community from the West African nation of Gambia. City officials announced today that investigators are combing through evidence and reviewing whether an apartment door failed to close, allowing smoke from the Sunday morning fire to spread throughout the entire 19-floor building in the Bronx. Officials report that a malfunctioning space heater sparked the fire in the bedroom of a third-floor apartment yesterday, killing at least 17 people, including 8 children and 9 adults. It also injured dozens more. Mayor Eric Adams expressed sympathy for the victims, adding the city will continue to stress fire safety.
It is our obligation to reinforce the concept of close the door, close the door. But what we don't want to do is just to add more trauma on the family that was simply trying to escape a very dangerous and a very frightening experience.
Meanwhile, Mayor Adams is allowing New York City to become the first major city to grant non-citizens voting rights in local elections. But New York Republicans are suing to block the polarizing new law that gives about 800,000 non-citizens, including green card holders and DACA recipients, the ability to vote in municipal elections. Outrage in North Carolina after an off-duty sheriff's deputy shot and killed a man Saturday in Fayetteville. According to police, the shooting happened just after 2:15 p.m. Lieutenant Jeffrey Hash shot 37-year-old Jason Walker. The police department says Walker, quote, ran into traffic and jumped on a moving vehicle. Hash has since been placed on administrative leave. The shooting sparked protests Sunday, activists questioning how Walker died. An internal investigation is currently underway. We now turn to a story that we've been covering closely as Chicago Public Schools entered the 4th day of canceled classes today. The head of the Chicago Teachers Union is accusing Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot of bullying while calling her, quote, relentlessly stupid and, quote, relentlessly stubborn as both sides attempt to negotiate a deal to restart schools. Officials recently rejected the union's proposal of more COVID-19 testing, as well as returning to virtual learning on Wednesday and in-person instruction next week. And finally, we remember and celebrate the life of legendary, trailblazing, multi-instrumentalist, producer, and songwriter James Mtume, who passed away yesterday at age 76. The multi-Grammy winner and Philadelphia native will continue to inspire with his skills and sounds after working with the likes of Duke Ellington and Miles Davis, and writing gems for Stephanie Mills and Roberta Flack, and taking percussion to a whole other level of playing. Mtume participated in a Black empowerment group as he spearheaded the celebration of Kwanzaa. He also pushed for social justice, Afrocentricity, and Black nationalism. Joining me now to discuss the life and the activism of the monumental Mtume are his son, Folau Mtume, and 2 close friends, Minister Abdul Akbar Muhammad, international representative of the Nation of Islam, and Brother Hassan, the founder of the Kwanzaa Fest. Gentlemen, my brothers, thank you so much for joining me tonight. My condolences to all of you, as I know you were close family and kin to Brother Mtume. Brother Hassan, I'm going to start with you. In just a few words, who was James Mtume?
Baba James Mtume was Black genius and excellence in personified, embodied the absolute best of what our people are and what we can be. I've never met anyone like him in my life. He was so far ahead of his time, and he was a teacher, he was a father, he was so many of the elements our people are lacking now. He embodied those. And for me, he was a mentor and a very, very dear friend.
Wow. Minister Muhammad, James Mtume was a musical genius of the absolute highest order. But I think what resonates with so many of us is that as committed as he was to music, he was equally passionate about social activism. He reminds me of a Dick Gregory type of figure. Would that be a fair assessment?
I think so. First, thank you very much for having me on. And Mtume was my brother, my friend, traveling companion, and a warm person. You don't meet people who help people just because they ask for help. And his years in the struggle when he was on the West Coast and then coming from a musical family, geniuses came out of that family. And we had the blessing to travel to Sudan. We traveled to Libya. He came to Ghana with Bobby Humphreys, and we sat and had an unbelievable talk with late President Jerry Rawlings. And Rawlings was impressed by him, his sense of culture, but how you put the culture into the struggle and keep it right there. Don't leave culture hanging out on a limb, but culture is a part of this great struggle. And he proved that by the music that God blessed him to produce. So he'll be missed. I think about him. His son called me early that morning that he passed, and it took me a while to just get my head together. He had a favorite shoe that he liked to wear, a pair of shoes. They came from the Sudan. And whenever he would go to the Sudan with me, he would buy these particular shoes, and you would find him wearing them wherever he traveled.
Wow, such a beautiful moment, Akbar. I remember the last time, I think the last time I was with Brother Mtume was at the farm. I believe you were with us that day, and we were just sitting around vibing, listening to music.
Yep.
And
that's right.
He was such a beautiful spirit, such a generous spirit. It was just an honor to be around him, and he was so humble as we were listening to the music. And it's like, he's a legend. He's a giant. He could be taking over the room. He could be taking over the space, right. and he didn't do that. Instead, he just sat down and vibed out, man. It's amazing to see. Falal, let me bring you in, man, because obviously it's one thing for us to be fans, to be friends, but talk to me about who he was for you as a father.
Thank you very much for this opportunity and to be here with these two gentlemen who meant so much to my father and mean so much to us. It's really, really profound to try and describe what kind of man and what kind of father he is and was to us. I mean, here's a man that was intellectually a giant, politically profound, creatively unparalleled, but was probably one of the most kindest, gentlest, and compassionate people you can ever be around. I was very fortunate because you don't, that saying, you don't get to choose your family. But not only did I have an archetype for what a man is, not only did I have access, he was mine at all times. But you know what? He was everyone's, because we have, as we're going through this, we have not spent any time on any social media. I haven't looked at anything online. And the true telling part is all the friends that I grew up with that came through this house, and it was an open house, and they said that how they saw that how he raised his children is what they took on for themselves and how they chose to raise their families. And I think that that's the most telling thing that we say about him as a father.
Wow. Look, we got so much to cover here. I want to take a break and come back because I don't want to rush this. He is a legend, and he deserves all of this conversation. So, my brother Falal, brother Hassan, and Minister Akbar Muhammad, please stay with us. We're going to continue this conversation right after the break. Everybody stay right here on Black News Tonight.